Okay, good morning everybody. Time to do a lesson out of the book. We're doing 1.2.3 today. Now remember how this book works. We usually have the lesson start, and sometimes we'll do some of these activities in class. That's right after the start of the lesson, and oftentimes they will have methods and meanings, and that's where they sort of teach you how to do different things. And the homework is almost always going to be where it says review and preview. So that's where we're starting. And remember, I have a rubric for all the work out of the book. Homework's worth 9 points. To get the first, called the easiest 3 points, you need to have a complete heading. Complete heading has a first and last name, and some of you need to start making sure you capitalize your names and capitalize my name, because that's part of the heading along with the period. Don't forget the date. And if it's work out of the book, I want you to include which lesson we're doing. And again, today is 1.2.3 and the problem numbers. The problem numbers, they're written kind of weird, but go ahead and include them. 1-68, I'm going to list them all. You can write the word through if you know how to spell it. 170, 171, and 172. And I'm just going to get you started. Okay, so remember last week we did handfuls of pennies, and we put them in what's called an array. Remember, all an array is taking those pennies and making a rectangle out of them. You have a certain amount of rows and a certain amount of columns, so that would be an array of 12 pennies. It's 3 tall and 4 wide. For this one, you have a pile of 48, or Harry does, and he organized them into a rectangular array that exactly had 4 rows of 12. Okay, so he had 4 rows of 12 for his, and it is similar to a rectangle, right? And the question for you is, can you draw at least 2 other rectangular arrays that he could have drawn besides ones that are 4 by 12? And I think that is kind of self-explanatory, so I'm not going to help you too much on that one, other than say, go for it. There are a bunch of different choices on that one. And the hint is because 48 is divisible by a lot of different numbers. 169, this one, for each of the number of pennies below, arrange them first into a complete rectangular array and then into a different array that has a remainder of 1. So that means there's 1 extra penny. Okay, and the first one, A, is there's 10 pennies. So I'm going to make 2 rows of 5. And that's the first part. Now they want me to make another one that has 1 left over. So that means 10 minus 1 is 9. I'm going to go 3 rows of 3 for the 9, and then plus 1. Now the last part of this, don't forget, this is the important part. You want to write an expression for each arrangement. So the expression for this is just 2 rows of 5. And that's 2 parentheses 5. That means 2 times 5, right? For the second one, you're going 3 rows of 3 plus 1 left over. And again, this is the expressions, and that is really the important part of what you want to work on here. Okay, I think that's a good example to the point where you can do B and C with the 15 pennies and the 25 pennies. I'm going to let you do those. All right, off to 170. How many pennies are represented by each expression? We have 3 plus 4 times 5. All you got to do is multiply the 4 times 5 and add the 3. And the next one is 4 rows of 3 with 7 left over, or that could have been what it is. 4 times 3 plus 7. And the last one, 2 times 3 plus 5. Plus 4 times 2. And I trust that you can figure that out yourself. This homework doesn't seem too hard so far. All right, last 2 problems. 1-71. And if you do use second piece of paper, please put your name on it. Okay, you don't have to have complete heading. And make sure you staple it. Using whole number fractions and decimals, write at least 8 addition equations that have a sum of 10. Write more if you can. So I'm going to do one of the easy ones first. 1 plus 9 equals 10. But I'm going to do a couple of other examples. 9 and 1/3 plus 2 more thirds is going to be 9 and 3/3, which is 10. I'm going to use a decimal and do 4.99 plus 5 and 1/100. There are infinite numbers of ways. I look forward to reading and seeing what you guys came up with. Last question, 172. Look how fast we're getting this done. Use your knowledge of place value to place the correct inequality sign. Remember, that's less than or greater than between each of the numbers. And my advice to you on these decimals is to, when you want to go check them, stack them and line up the decimal. What does that mean for these two? I'm going to put 5.207. The very first thing I write in the second number is the decimal, and then because they look weird, add zeros, and once you add zeros, you recognize this is bigger than that. All right, and remember, left hand less than, and you could turn the less than symbol into an L that says less than. Make sure you put the numbers on both sides of these. That's a cardinal sin in this class, to not show both numbers when you're showing greater than less than. It's a minimal amount of showing work. But once you do that, you can look at that, and every time you look at it, you get smarter. If all you have is a greater than or less than symbol, it doesn't help you at all. All right, so 2 and 408 thousandths compared to 2 and 40 hundredths. And the last part is you're going to round each number to the nearest tenth. So each of these 6 numbers, you're going to round to the nearest tenth. All right, that's it for today. I think this is one of the easier homeworks you get out of the CPM book. So hopefully you have an easy time and you're able to make up any late work you have.